Distance.
I don't know.
Okay. Ready to roll, are we?
Yep.
Okay, welcome everybody to this meeting of the Martinborough Community Board. We're live streaming and YouTubing.
Yeah.
Yes. So I'll welcome everybody. A few health and safety briefings. If there's an emergency come on, you know, to evacuate to the Texas Street location. We all know where the facilities are. Just follow your instructions if it comes up. We're recording the meetings. I don't think there's any extraordinary business. No. Apologies. I don't have any apologies, although Aidan did say that he wouldn't be attending, so he's coming online.
Yeah, he is.
Come online. So no apologies. And I don't think we have to move or second anything for that. Any conflicts of interest? Not aware of any. Okay, so we'll move past that. Just to make a note that Karen and Angela will be making a question at the end. So, and member reports, it's at the back of your agenda. Now, do we have any acknowledgements or tributes?
I do. I'd just like to say thank you to Benny Riley from One Source, who's donated 6 Matariki flags to the Martinborough Community Board, value of $600, but he's gifted them to us because he has now moved to Arrowtown and he obviously was clearing them out. So we've got some brand new flags to add to our flags.
Thank you.
Fantastic.
Any other? Yep, you've normally got somebody to duck in. Is this a no?
Make a thing.
Okay, all right.
Thank you.
So that's thank you for that acknowledgement and tribute. Community board meeting minutes for the meeting held on the 27th of July. Would like to move that the community board accepts these and confirmed as true and correct record. Can I have a seconder and a mover, please?
Is it? I'll second.
Thank you very much. They're accepted. Now, do we want to do the Wellington Water before we get on to the chairman's reports? I think.
If you'd like to, yes.
I think we'll move to that point, so we won't have you guys hanging around all night.
Okay.
Let's leave them in the corner just before you leave. Otherwise, just carry on. So we'll have the Wellington Water presentation. Thank you. So just before you start, is everybody familiar with what the presentation is about? Okay, so we do have to have a nomination at the end. Is that right? What you're looking for?
Yeah, I think we've included it there in terms of, you know, seeking interest for those who'd like to help plan the planting day event.
Yep.
So we're scoping it out, really.
Yep.
You don't have to if you don't want to, but we're obviously inviting.
It'd be nice to have some local input. Yes, thank you.
I think so, yeah. So kia ora koutou, ko Adam toko ingoa, or Rory Tana ingoa, kei Wellington Water aho. So my name's Adam, I'm from Wellington Water, and this evening I've got Rory with me as well. So he's our Senior Advisor, Communications and Engagement. So yeah, we're along this evening to talk to the Community Board, provide a bit of an update on the Planting Day event. We have been engaging with the Māori Standing Committee. We are looking to get into the nitty-gritty of actually planning the day, and looking to seek interest from the community board on planning the event. And you know, obviously this evening is also a chance perhaps to answer any, if you have got any questions, initial questions, queries. Now, I guess I like to sort of reflect back on the purpose of the Planting Day event, and it's a great opportunity, you know, based off a couple of overflow events that occurred back in 2020 to give back to the mana of the Rua Mahanga. And that's kind of the purpose of this Planting Day event, isn't it? So that's kind of where it's come from. And, you know, I'm not going to read line by line through the report, but you've got that in front of you there. Yep. We have been engaging with, like I said, the Māori Standing Committee, their feedback. I know they were a key part of when it was previously organised back in 2020, and looking for their guidance as well around the tikanga Māori aspects we'd like to bring into the event too. So attached also, I've included some presentation slides. That was a presentation that we did to the Māori Standing Committee, which helps to just summarise that again, the background and the context of this, as well as what we're looking to do going forward. And one of the elements that we're still yet to actually decide on, we've got a couple of proposed sites for the Planting Day event, but that would be one of the initial things we'd like to get nailed down, as well as finalising the actual Planting Day activity plan, all the nitty gritty of organising the event, which is where Rory really comes into play as well. So I'll just sort of, I guess, sit back and hand it back to you yourselves if you've got any questions. Or
I've got a question to start off with. So of the two options you've got, do you have a preference?
Can I speak really quickly with regards to the Māori Standing Committee and
If you must.
with it? I know. Well, I just think too, because I'd really like to just kind of feel out what possibilities there might be. The Māori Standing Committee said it would be really nice to have an and instead of or. If they were thinking that it would be good to do some planting around the wastewater treatment plant. So in future, it can help to kind of stop, or at least to start the cleansing before anything hits the Ruamahanga River within the Payne Farm area, understanding that that wouldn't be a public event, but it could just be something that Wellington Water do before, on behalf of the fact that this had happened. Wellington Water came and presented to the Māori Standing Committee to talk about being able to do this, like these reparations, and that they were wanting to know how they'd like it to look. So I was there right from the original when it was first presented. So just to give it a little bit more background, but what they thought was that it would be really nice to be able to do something in public that that involves the public, because it is it's about bringing them with on the journey as well, and we know the engagement, especially from our rangatahi when they are younger, getting their hands in doing something, they tend to come back and say, when I was a kid, I did this. I helped, and that's where the inanga spawning area would be an amazing part, because it's more accessible to people, obviously, because it's been planted. All plantings have already been done there, which is so that was what they were wanting to look at, actually doing some, because we know where the issue can come from and affect the Ruamahanga, and when it comes to looking after the mana, so being able to do that, but then to go back for what was the original, that they'd still like to be able to do something around the inanga spawning area as well, that could involve the families. So I don't know, I just thought I'd put that out there, because right at the start, and I mean, we're going back quite some time, I think it was Kara Dentist who came to speak to the Māori Standing Committee at that time when he was with Wellington Water. So I mean, it is a few years ago now, but that was some of the ideas that had been floated, and they'd really like to look at possibly. But due to the fact, of course, we don't want anyone harmed, if there's the issue of people who don't work for the council or for Wellington Water around the Payne Farm area, we'd still like some kind of planting to be done around there as well.
Yeah, that's really useful. Thanks, Pip. I think I've had some really good conversations with Nerida Hooper as well, and she's been really useful. A lot of it around that long-term educational side of the event, and And you know, I think that a lot of the details around access and health and safety and engaging with the maraeas, etc. There's quite a lot still to work through, as well as who may lead the te kanga, you know, for example, the karakia and that kind of thing, who might be appropriate for that. That still working through those details, but some of those things that you talk about, I think, are really good, and that's what we're working towards. That, so the education side of things, yeah.
So what's your, can I just get an initial feel? Do you think it could be an and as opposed to an or?
I think we can definitely take that away, and the whoever, for example, is on the part of helping to actually formalise some of the nitty gritty would help to shape that for sure.
Okay.
Violet Edwards, who's on the Māori Standing Committee, who is involved with the Koinui nursery as well. And so with the Koinui nursery for plantings, to ensure that what's planted is what was originally there. So she's very much a person who would be a good starting point as well to be on there.
Thanks for that.
Do we have an actual date for them? I'm just struggling to.
No, we haven't penciled the date. You know, I think the next step would be to actually get out and have a look at some of these sites, right? I mean, to obviously double check things around access and those types of things. But yeah, we do want to try and set a date. That way it's in there, and then we'll just work back from there, won't we, really?
Yeah. Well, I'd like to nominate Karen as our tree group representative to be a representative for the community board. It sort of fits in with artists planting. I'm the go-to woman for trees.
Or non-Maori tree.
Well, tell you no, it's fine.
We need to vote. Are you happy to do?
Yeah, that's fine.
I'm happy to second that as a
Yeah.
recommendation.
Do what I can.
Karen works with our tree. So
Is the tree up to person?
Dig it to hole.
Just, can I ask a bit of a slightly technical question, just like zoom back to the big picture of, obviously planting mitigates the effects. You're a technical person?
I'm more like a project manager, but I can see what I can do to.
So planting obviously mitigates, in the landscape mitigates the effects of the toxins, for one of the better word, and wastewater that are in the ground and soil, the ground.
Filtration
Is that right? So,
things.
yeah,
Yes,
so
yes.
So there's a desire to plant the sort of vegetation that was originally there, or, you know, what are there different ways that different species of plants act on the soil in that way, or?
Yeah, that definitely sounds like a, if
It's getting too technical.
probably in the plant space, right? And but that comes back to
Yeah.
the right plants,
Yeah,
location, and one of it's around, what was there historically, but also I think leveraging off the properties of plants that have the some of the filtration. I mean, all of them will have some.
Yeah.
Historically, there wouldn't have been such a problem, obviously, with wastewater.
There wouldn't have been,
Anyway, so yeah, that's what it's designed to do, to mitigate the toxins in the soil.
I mean, it's only going to help, I guess, isn't it? It's not going to inhibit.
No, but so that it sort of filters, it's a filtration sort of process.
It will. I mean, I guess what we don't have the ability, for example, we're not, and thinking about the big picture in terms of the Martinborough wastewater treatment plant, eventually we're looking to, the consent is to move that to a land-based discharge. It's not going to be discharged into the river. So it isn't something like building in like a wetland filtration system or anything like that. I mean, obviously they start to get quite big scale or anything. But in this case, we're sort of talking around the location of where it currently discharges once it's gone through its treatment process, obviously, and being able to plant an appropriate species of plant trees that's not going to inhibit the function of the plant. That's only probably also going to tick some boxes in terms of that Te Ao Māori, the Māori cleansing of the water, right?
Because anything that flows,
continue down.
and Rory probably knows this way better than I do because I'm
I wouldn't say that.
but anything that slows the water and gives it time to clean. So going through the plantings before it reaches the river. But actually reaches the river. It slows it, but it also gives it time to actually clean it out more before it's actually being discharged into the water.
Yeah.
And you've got the whole biodiversity thing that will happen too when there's more vegetation.
So knowing what was planted there, and that's where the two nurseries, Paitumukai and
Whanui.
and the Kohinui nurseries are really beneficial because they're already doing a lot of planting around our waterways. And so they know not what actually not just grows, but stays there as well and flourishes and helps to, so with those, so it would be great to have them and look at getting the plants from them, from both of those areas, or, you know, possibly not all of the plants, but, you know, whatever you,
As much as you can.
as much as you can.
Yeah, that's a really good point, isn't it? And then I know, Adam, you've got some contacts at Greater Wellington in particular, right? And that in terms of anything they're doing, linking into, and Narita talks a lot about that around the long-term aspect of it and making sure it's not just an event and then it's left. It's actually,
Yeah.
you know, there's a continuation. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. Oh,
And Narita, Karen, Mikaida,
Yeah.
like there's so many on the Māori standing committee that would want to be involved. Like, that's a great thing. It's not just you go.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
a team. Team.
Okay, we seem to have
Yeah, cool.
come to a fairly good conclusion on that. Are you quite happy?
Yeah.
Maria,
Question?
happy?
Yeah, no, that's excellent. Yeah.
So look, we just need to move to, sorry, have you got a question?
Oh, just looking forward to in the future, the proposal to discharge the waste to the land, potentially the paint farm. So I just got a question about nitrates. So are they removed in the settling ponds out of that waste?
I'm not an expert in that space. There is, through that treatment process, it does treat the microbiology within the
There's a certain bacteria
does great things.
Yeah. Nitrate level.
I'm not sure to what level extent. Obviously, the treatment plant's got like a resource consent that it needs to meet certain standards.
But
So
there's
there would be
factor-
data on it if you
Right,
were
that
interested in
is a
knowing.
factor, that is a key.
There was a bung that broke and then they replaced it and then that bung broke, or something like that actually caused this to happen. So the double.
But I
Well,
can't see reference to nitrates because I know that they're odorless.
That was all way back in 2020, 21, we got reports on that. So if you have a look, yeah.
That is dealt with in the settlement ponds, definitely before the water is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, with the footprints, that's the idea, but unfortunately with this time, that,
I understand there's been breach of it, but it was all.
yeah, exactly how, well,
Yeah.
I won't say that. But
Okay.
I'll talk to you about that one.
But if you do ever have other questions that pop up, feel free to send them through and we'll see if we can.
Sorry, it's Aidan. He's trying to get in. He's texting everybody saying, can I get in?
Yeah, I think Mel was trying to come in here, but
To speak.
Oh, that's what you're saying.
Say that.
Aidan's trying to come, but he's coming in on Teams and I don't think he's doing it. Okay, so
Mel's
just
got a hand up.
maybe on your
Mel?
Mel's got a hand
Through
up.
you, through you, Mr. Chair, I did just have a quick question, and that was around whether or not the saturation levels of Payne Farm and where this wastewater to land is going to be has actually been, the testing's been completed yet? I mean, how are we going to be able to say that we're going to be planting to meet a need if we don't yet know the status of the land and what it needs?
What it can take.
Are we talking about the planting? Or are we talking about this future irrigation, which is probably
Yeah.
a long,
It's a different,
it's a number of years away. I mean, I know there have been studies into the Payne Farm, some of the soil studies. I'm not on the detail, and more would have to be done before identifying that is actually the suitable location to irrigate to land. We know, we've run into issues in Featherston in that space, and so we don't want to go too far down the track before, building anything, spending too much money before identifying that that's actually the pathway for Payne Farm.
Okay.
Aidan to say something.
Sorry, we're just trying to get one of the members coming in, but we've got to cross.
Can you hear us?
Has he got his camera off?
Evening team, sorry, apologies, I'm having technical issues tonight and I just can't get my video up and running.
We can
Can hear
hear
you.
you anyway.
Okay, so if we've concluded that, can I have somebody nominate to receive the Wellington Water proposal?
I'll move that.
Thank you. And a seconder? Thank you, Karen. Okay, so thank you, Peter. Now we'll leave you to liaise directly with Karen. All right?
Okay, yeah, we'll get details from Nikki. That's right.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. So while we've started on this, I think we'll pursue these items here before we do the chair report.
Oh, so
So we'll go through from 9.2. 9.2 is the representation review report. And Nikki tells me it's you. So you're going to speak to this?
Yep, I am.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think I've said it a few times already. So I just wanted to quickly bring you up to speed with a couple of things going on under the representation review. Every 6 years under legislation, local councils have to do a representation review, which is around fair and effective representation at council level. And the paper goes into a little bit more detail around that. That is looking at reviewing how many councillors we have, our wards, boundaries of our wards, community boards, and the makeup of council in that way. Before we go into a full representation review, there are 2 optional votes that council need to consider this year. The first one has been presented to council on the 2nd of August, and it was around a decision to do with the way we vote, whether it's first past the post or single transferable vote. And council have decided to stick with the status quo, and therefore first past the post will be our voting option for the 2025 election in local government. Under legislation, we now need to notify our district that they have the right to call a poll on this if they so choose, but we need 5 or more % of our population, I think it is, to request that. So it's quite a complex process. So there'll be information going out around the ability to call a poll, but I guess what I would quite like to recommend is if you hear of anything or if there's any information that comes to the community boards around individuals or groups keen to do a poll, to get in contact with me. So a poll is just around their ability to put together an application of a number of people, electors from the district, to say that they would like to vote on this matter. So a poll is a request to vote on it. If we get enough people requesting that under legislation, we then need to arrange for a poll to take place, and the results of that poll are binding.
So is
We
it
have a poll.
No, we put out a request, we put out notifications so that people can call a poll, but there are some very strict requirements around what needs to be met in order for that to happen.
So does the poll take the shape of a referendum, or is it?
Kind of, yeah.
But you'll have in a referendum, you've got a choice of
Yeah.
A, B or C.
And-
So would it end up being part of the papers for an election and during an election process or separate?
Potentially separate now because we've missed that timeframe.
Yep.
Yeah.
So the poll would literally just be about, do you want, that the council has left it at first past the post. Do you want first past the post or do you want STV?
Which is
Yes, no.
We
transferable.
only have those 2 choices.
Correct.
Yep.
Currently,
Yeah.
So, but do you put that out?
Yeah, so that legally has to be out by the 19th of September.
Yeah.
On the website will be the information
And then
19th
people,
of September.
and people have got how long to respond to that?
until the 11th of December.
Oh, quite a way then.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
if enough people wanted to change it,
For 3 months.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, to collect the number of signatures that
they would need.
they would need in order for it to go to local government.
Yeah.
So we would then need to get it checked and authorised. So it's a bit of a legal process.
Sounds expensive.
Yes, it is. It is expensive.
Yeah.
It is.
it is expensive.
Okay.
Yeah, so the second, so that is the first optional vote for council around the representation review. The second is coming up in November, where council need to decide whether or not to include a Māori ward for our 2025 local elections. And that work is currently being done through the Māori Standing Committee in regards to this. And the Māori Standing Committee will put a view to council before that date, and council will vote on that.
And that goes as far as council and no further.
Correct. Yes.
So when is that vote taking place? Is that on the
That needs to be done by the 23rd of November.
23rd? Jeez, that's not much time, is it?
No. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and then next year we will go into full representation review, which will require some significant engagement and consultation with our communities and the community boards around what representation at council could look like in 2025. Yeah, Mel.
Came out. Yep.
Sorry, that was actually going to be my question, is because, oh, excuse me. One of the main issues I see is around the need for a rural representative. So I'm glad to hear that is still coming, so that's great.
The shape of it looks like.
Yeah, so there's quite an involved process next year around consultation. So we need to put 4 or 5 options up to council around what that representation could be, and then go to full consultation, and then council need to reconsider their option after that. And then there is additional consultation after that can go to the commissioner, and it is signed off eventually by the commissioner. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that was just an update, but the main thing was just to notify you about the poll if you get any
If we get questions.
Yeah.
Okay, so can I have somebody to move that representation review be accepted?
Yeah.
Second.
In a second?
Yeah.
Don't fight over it. Okay,
As if
so
we would.
just in case we're not sure, all those in favour, say aye.
Aye.
Those against? Nobody. Okay, that's right. So moving on to the code of conduct. Look, this is a very big document. And I think in reality, I think we've already indicated in the past that we probably would agree to the new status of the code of conduct report. If that's not the case, I ask you now to identify what you're not happy with.
Okay,
If you need more time to identify what you're not happy with.
I'm not happy with the length of it and the complexity of it for a couple of reasons. One is it's too long, but when we have the code of conduct, which I totally understand why we need one. I understand that, but in light of like recently, we're still having issues despite having a code of conduct, which I don't understand why. With the recent email from Paul about contacting people, why people are still not adhering to this, and why it's not. Is it working? Is what I'm trying to say.
Can I ask Nikki, can you have an input to that?
Because we didn't sign off the previous code of conduct, so please.
Never signed off ever.
So that's why, it rolls over every triennium, doesn't it?
It does roll over, correct?
And so this is,
But at the start of this triennium, we were told there was a new one coming in, so we never actually accepted anything. We were just moving with the status quo.
Correct. So you are accepting the new version of code of conduct. So the code of conduct does sit underneath at all times and rolls over, as Councillor Maynard said. And the main changes around this code of conduct was feedback that was given to South Wairarapa District Council, is my understanding. And they particularly looked at what happens if you do raise an issue.
Yeah.
So just
Appendix B.
Just a point of clarification. So we have one member who's not particularly happy with the length and content. What do we do with that?
the majority still, I wouldn't want, I don't want to start the process again, but I did want to make it noted
So
that I wasn't
just-
happy with.
just-
I will accept it
Okay, so we'll,
if that's what you're asking, but I just wanted it noted that I do have concerns, and that's all.
That has raised some questions as to
Yeah.
length and
I thought we had a small,
I think as well, when you get,
initially for
we
this,
did, didn't we?
but we didn't,
I totally get where you're coming from, Andrew, because one, you get the code of conduct. But what you want to know is what lines have been changed, what has changed,
Yeah.
and that way, and for it to be just really clearly spelt out, not go to appendix B and page 468, we've highlighted it. That's really confusing. I think it's much better just to say, these are where we've changed it. Are you happy with the changes? Because instead, we're trying to read through a huge document and work out what the change, I mean, I know it's in here and it kind of said, but are those the only changes? What we want to make sure is that what we had previously signed off on hasn't been changed with anything else. That what the council has told us are the changes are the only changes. That way we can make sure that they align with what we thought was being given to us. Not that then suddenly there's another something that don't have any awareness and we may accidentally reach the code of conduct because we weren't aware of it, and so it's much easier to just kind of have that in there right at the start. These are the changes to it, or we've changed the sentence, or
We'll come to you in a sec, Aidan, but just as a commentary, the document is fairly complex. And I think the only time you're really going to run into issues is when you actually have a code of conduct breach you have to talk about, and that's when you can actually understand what the document really means. But it is very, very complex in understanding, and as you say, a lot of referrals to other components.
So is it clear what the process is if somebody, if there's a need to recourse to these rules, if there's something's happened, what is the first? Really hard to work out.
I think the first course of action is to raise it with the CEO.
Is that right? Okay.
Isn't that the first course of action? If you have a code of conduct, you have to raise it, whether you are complaining about somebody or somebody's complaining about you. It should go through that central process. Stefan, do you know any more than that?
I believe, take the advice of the CE or review government, be able to help you if you had a specific fact scenario, if you had a specific situation where you thought the code was coming into play. They'd be the people I'd reach out.
and there's steps. If it's something that you feel that the CE may have done, then you raise it with the mayor. But Aidan's got a question.
Aidan, come in.
Well, I'd just like to go back and perhaps provide a bit of history. In 2019, the last triennium, there was talk about reviewing the code of conduct after the 2019 elections, and work was carried out to review that code of conduct. The new code of conduct was put in front of all elected members, i.e. councillors plus community board members. The councillors signed off on that new code of conduct in that triennium. However, when it was put towards the community board, the members of the 3 community boards across our district, the community board members felt that it wasn't strong enough, and it didn't, and there was a few things missing from that code of conduct. So they didn't sign the code of conduct, and the 3 community boards therefore all remain under the previous code of conduct, which I think might have been enacted in like 2016. Now, the 3 community boards members in the last triennium workshopped a few times with amongst themselves and with Amanda. And that was one of Amanda's first roles when she started in her position with SWDC to get the code of conduct sorted. And one of the points that came up was there wasn't a reference to Te Tiriti o Waitangi, the Treaty of Waitangi, and what obligations were. And Amanda agreed with that, and so she went back and did some research. There was also concerns about, what were the processes for, if complaints were made in the course of action that was to be spelt out or laid out when there was a complaint made, because that wasn't clear in the previous code of conduct. So in that work that Amanda did, she talked at length with Local Government New Zealand, and the template or the basis of the code of conduct we've got in front of us now has come from Local Government New Zealand, along with additions that Amanda has added, taking on board the concerns from the 3 community boards from that last triennium. So I know it's a long and involved process. It is certainly a bigger and longer document than what the previous code of conducts were, but I think it is a better piece of work and provides clear guidelines. And sure, there are, I think, 2 or 3 case studies at the back of it that provide scenarios of where people or elected members have breached the code of conduct and then what the process is to go through. There was nothing like that in the previous codes of conduct. They were very small, short documents. So yeah, certainly it's based on guidelines from Local Government New Zealand with specific stuff or information added in accordance with what previous elected members, community board members had desired to be added and included. That's about all I had to add. Storm, I'm sorry it might be a bit long-winded, but there was just a bit of...
No, just the question, Aidan, because you've had a bit of background on that.
Yeah.
On page 34, item 4.3, they talk about the key changes, of which there are 4. Is that a fair representation of the changes to the document?
Page 30.
Page 34, bottom of the page.
Key changes, 4.1.
I'm looking at that, and they've got the acknowledgement of Te Tiriti or Waitangi there. That was one of the things that community board members wanted to be inputted in the last triennium, an explicit description of unacceptable behaviours, because in the previous code of conduct there was no such thing as unacceptable behaviours. There was examples where behaviours between members in the previous triennium had been called out and had been and complaints had been made about particular behaviours, but in that whole investigation process, those behaviours as part of the investigation process were not deemed to be a problem or a concern, because somebody found a definition which, of those behaviours, which was so far off left field and relied on that definition, which in the investigation and in the report, which was just people didn't accept it. So that's why we've asked for an explicit description of unacceptable behaviours to be listed.
So on that, Aidan, sorry to interrupt you. If you go to 68, case studies 2.5, they give generic sort of examples. Are they reasonably descriptive of what could occur? Are they acceptable within the scope of what we're talking about, that these are the sorts of things you should look at and give you a good example of what behaviour should fit?
Are you saying page 68?
Page 68, yeah. They give case studies item 2.5, which talks about some examples of what could be bad behaviour, which I think refers back to the 4.1 items, number 1, the explicit descriptions. And these, I think, are the explicit descriptions. They're pretty generic in terms of what they're talking about, but they are covering most of the things that you'd think probably would end up in a code of conduct sort of discussion.
I haven't got there yet, Storm, but I'm really happy with how, and like I said before, I know it is a long document. It is way better than what was available previously, and the things that Amanda has worked on, and in partnership, and I suppose, with Local Government New Zealand, because they obviously identified that there were discrepancies or things needed to be worked and improved. sorry, I haven't got to the case studies yet, but I'm happy and I'm confident it is a good code of conduct, and it is better than what was available previously.
Okay, so look, does anybody have something else to say about it? All I'm going to do is ask everybody in the room here to just say whether they are in favour or not. There's no discord over whether you are for it or not. But if we're all in agreement, then we can push forward. If we have some dissent, then we will look at that. So, Angela,
I'm happy following Aidan's discussion and a little bit more the background of it as to where it's coming from. So I accept it. Yeah.
Yes, I think so. I mean, I don't think, Aidan says it's a lot more workable than it was.
So
And there have been need for recourse to these rules in his time as being involved in the local government here. So I guess we need it. I don't think we need to put any more time into it, really, man.
you're happy? Keep your mic, sorry, mate.
Sorry.
Mel, are you happy with what you've heard?
Yeah, and I definitely would like to total for Aidan and what he has said. It was, the last one wasn't as usable as this document, and the examples that have been given are examples that I think needed to be clarified from the old one. So yeah, that's where I stand. I'm very happy. I'm happy with it.
What's it was?
Aidan, do you have a comment? I guess we'll take it. You're happy?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Your hand's still up.
The little orange hand is up.
it's orange.
Yeah, to go to those ones up there.
Okay, so look, I'm reasonably happy with what we've got, but I do say, for enlightenment's sake, look at those examples at the back, just to give yourself some feel for what they are, and we move on. So now, could I ask that we have a mover to receive the report?
It's on street flags? Or is this the report we just read?
Just-
No.
No, we haven't done that yet.
It already.
Second it.
Oh, I suppose so.
Thank you, Karen. So there's 3 questions we have to look at this now. So we have to look at the first one is to do we adopt the code of conduct
I'll move that.
for the triennium? So if you have a look at they've got these notes.
I move that. I move that we accept the.
Okay, we have a second. Good, thank you. Got that? Pip and Angela?
Yeah.
And next one do we have a mover to adopt the policy as attached in Appendix 2 for dealing with alleged breaches of the code? Did we look at that?
Appendix 2.
Sorry,
Which is that?
I've missed that. I didn't see Appendix 2.
Next two.
I don't know.
It's how we do the initial assessment
Yeah.
to go to the mediators.
Yeah.
And then it's got links.
Yeah, so look, I think it's there. I don't think there's any great see with that. So we'll accept that as well. Could I have a mover and a seconder?
No.
Moved by Angela, seconded by Pip. I thought I saw your hand. Okay.
You're on your.
Mel's going,
I was going to try Mel.
You in.
and she's going to second it.
Just going to second it. All right, we'll take Pip off and put Mel in. Okay,
Brilliant.
so now we've completed the code of conduct.
So those are the street flags.
Next issue is to do with the street flags. And I think history would tell me we've been down this track and
Yeah.
really got to tick this one off. So can I have a mover for the receiving of the report? Pip?
I'll move that. And can we remove the second one? Because Jasmine Martinborough has already been.
Yeah, it was just.
Already up now.
Yeah, so that's already happened.
It's down again.
So I'm
Down again.
happy to move 1, remove 2,
Yeah.
and move 3. So.
Yes.
We just need to we need to minute.
That it was done.
Because
Retrospective.
Oh, so it's retrospective.
Yes.
Okay, well then I'll.
You're right. It's
And 3.
Thank you.
I will move 1, 2, and 3.
Thank you very much. So second it.
Second them.
Angela, thank you very much. So I think we don't need to make any more discussion on that.
Not on Jazz, we do on the Toast Martinborough ones. They requested a date from the 1st to the 24th of November. It clashes with Round the Vines, but we've cleared it with Round the Vines and Toast. We both agree we'll just do an overlap. So it's sorted.
How do you do it?
Cool.
Because we'll take one up and down really fast.
Well, no, around the vines covers the first bit of toast, but the both parties are happy to just share the flag.
Everybody's happy with that.
Yes,
Okay.
but it won't be from that date. That's the only
You'll have to put
difference.
them up for
It will be from
Martinborough
the
ones are pretty.
6th to the 24th, and we do approve flag. Because the flag design was for approval as well.
Yes, sir. This is for the round the vines.
No, toast,
Toast, yes.
yeah, which are very,
Okay. So moving on. Yes. Just got to check.
Yeah.
Moving on to agenda item 9.5, which is the expenditure report.
Suddenly we get this very small type.
So there's
always
nothing really, we'll receive the report, but it's not a report that we can do much with because it's an old report. We don't have to discuss it. But are there any questions around it?
3 months old.
No, she's doing it. You hold it up to the light.
Is it invisible?
I'm going to get a really big magnifier.
Will we need the more up-to-date version before we approve these grants? Is my only question of how much have we actually got that we can distribute?
So through you, Chair.
Do we still not have that update yet?
Through you, Chair, for the grants. There is some additional information in the financial assistance to show you the amount that you've got under grants and under community development and the amount that has been allocated
Already.
in the meetings. Yeah.
May I ask? As Greytowns and Featherston, is theirs up to date or are all of them behind? So all of them are behind, okay.
Sorry, Mel, did you have a question? I might have missed your hand up.
So what page?
Sorry.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, so how much, can somebody please give me an amount for the grant on which is what we were supposed to be looking at?
Oh, we're looking at 81,
Available,
9.5. Sorry, what was your question?
available for grant right now. What
Yeah.
do we have available? Because
Yeah.
this is the first one for the year, isn't it? And then the next
Yep.
one's in March, yeah.
Yeah, so through you, Chair, Mel, if you look under the financial assistance report, which is 9.6, the bottom of that report, there is a wee table that will show you the amount you've got per annum and the amount that's allocated. And this is the income and expenditure report.
Yeah.
So if you move to the financial assistance
Page
report
90.
where the grants are, there's some additional information
90,
in that report.
yeah, page 90.
Page 90. so
Page
it's further up.
90,
So it's what's Payne Farm.
okay,
No, it's
no,
page 90 at the bottom.
Oh, yeah, financial assistance report.
Yeah.
Hey,
okay.
does that answer your question, Mel?
Yep.
Okay.
No,
So look, can I have somebody to propose, we'll leave it and move it on unless there's some discussion?
I can't find, sorry, can you say me that again, please?
Sorry, it is very, very confusing.
Yeah, so is it part of the Payne Farm or where is it?
No, so through you, Chair, the financials are from last financial year. We are still waiting on the final and the new financials to come through with the audit, which is currently taking place. So this is behind. So we're quite behind with your
I don't have that. Is it?
There it is. Yeah, with the income and expenditure report. So I have included under financial consideration and the financial assistance report under point 10 is a table which
Yep.
shows you your annual grants allocation. So this is the same across all the community boards. And your
Hang on.
annual community development budget, which is the same across all community boards. So there is no information in that table around Payne Farm.
So would
Right.
there possibly be a closing balance that's not shown?
Correct.
Yeah, so there might be a little bit extra from left over.
Correct. So yes, so the audit is currently taking place and once we get
Okay.
that finished, there'll be
Something
more
like that.
up-to-date information, but yeah.
So probably by the next meeting, we should have it.
So
Fingers crossed.
these two have nothing on the same farm still.
No, yeah, cool.
Okay, so I'm just going to move on from the financials. We're not going to
Yeah.
receive it or anything because it's not current.
Yeah.
Does everybody understand the financial considerations?
Yeah.
On item 10 on page 90?
Yeah.
Everybody seen,
And that-
everybody confident in what they understand?
So we're moving to agenda item 9.6.
Yeah, the financial
No,
system.
we're just not going to move on that item because there's nothing to record because the
Report.
financials are all out of date.
That's for 9.5.
Number 5, yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Okay.
So now we're moving to 9.6.
9.6, assistance report. And does everybody understand? Okay, so we're up to now page 87. Agenda item 9.6, which is the financial assistance report.
So there's nothing to say about Payne Farm, even though it's 6 months old figures.
No, no.
Not here at this stage.
Moving on. Moving on, and we're not accepting it.
Yeah. Ignore it because it's old.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're not accepting it or doing anything, we're just moving on.
Sorry, are we able to say that we want to just feed that back or to?
Yeah, can
Let them know.
we just feed that back that we have been asking for some time with regards to the Payne Farm and that we almost need something to go out to the public. People are asking, explain
Yeah.
that due to the fact that the financials haven't been confirmed, the Martinborough Community Board is unable to offer any grants from the Payne Farm, grants.
I think there was,
Or paying, you know,
Yeah, that's what we raised.
there was a statement that went out from council.
onto Facebook and.
It says against it that it's currently unavailable or?
Currently unavailable because
On the website.
they sort of implied that the community board couldn't do anything, but what we wanted to do was clarify that and say the community board is hamstrung because we do not know the financial
Yes,
status.
I mean, you know, we don't, and obviously, but just word it. so
How
that we-
about
just
something,
quickly
a
boil it.
statement that says the Martinborough Community Board will continue to push for this information until it is received? And can we, I mean, there has
Look,
to be something that 5 years to answer a question seems like a really long time.
Yeah, look,
So-
Mel, I take your point. Everybody's got the same opinion that I think we do need to keep emphasising that we are pushing for information and we're not happy with the information we've got.
Or we,
So we'll have something put into that effect.
that we're unable to. It's very difficult. I see that there's one that's come back through again, and really we know that it probably sits better with Payne. You know, it actually sits there, but we can't give them any grant from there because it's not available to us.
But can I say that I think outside that, we are doing things in train that are going to help the situation
Absolutely.
clarified very quickly. So we're virtually signed off, although we haven't seen a final draft to do so, an agreement of understanding or memorandum of agreement, which will form the basis of
Might be
the
some
policy.
Payne Farm sorted.
And that will help us get Payne Farm sorted because the questions we've raised in there and the things we have in the understanding are the types of things we want here.
Question.
So hang on, are you saying now that
Can I ask a question on figures? These are 6 months old. Okay, so all the financial statements of the South Island District Council have not been confirmed and audited yet.
Correct.
But is it possible to give us more up-to-date figures specifically on
Even
Payne
drafts.
Farm? That are unaudited. We have to wait till every last single figure is audited before anything is released about anything.
Shall I put that as?
I would say that's a good question to ask. Do we have to wait for the audit to be completed?
Really
to
that
get an update?
confidential, it's fairly specific. It's not a public, we don't have to release it to the public, it's a worry.
Yeah.
Seems
It
mad
can
to
be,
me.
yeah, it's just applied as an unaudited set of accounts.
So what Nikki's going to do is raise a question to that effect, that why do we have to wait for the audit to be completed to get an update of figures? They should be available.
and just in the past, I know I haven't sat on the Martinborough Community Board as long as others have. But I have been here for a while now, and we've always been able to utilise the Payne Farm from, you know, as part of the grant funding, and the fact that there's this massive hold up is just, I don't understand it either, like on why.
I mean, when I sat on boards, you get up-to-date figures. You don't wait for the whole necessarily for everything to be audited. How do you make decisions on anything?
I think at the moment, the wording on the council website is that it just simply says funding for Payne Farm Fund is currently on hold. So I think, as you say, maybe an explanation to expand that for people to understand what we are, why it's on hold. You know, it's not us.
It's not the Martinborough, yeah.
It's not us. Yeah.
And can I say something, team?
Yeah.
I think
Who's it?
it's Aidan here. I think the council, not only for this year, but also for last year, has had real struggles getting auditors to come and do their audits. And that's one reason why the annual report, which was due to be tabled to council in August last year, and then was supposed to be publicly released in September, October last year, wasn't released until I think February this year, because the external independent auditors, which do that work, not only for South Wairarapa District Council, but for councils right across the country, were way behind in their work. And that's that. I mean, we finally got that information from the auditors 6 or 7 months late, early this year. We released that information to publicly released it as soon as we could. I think, from what I understand, there are still issues with auditors auditing not only our council but other councils.
Yeah, I have to wait for.
But that shouldn't.
We should be able to still see figures.
Yeah, it shouldn't affect what the figures are, and that as they roll over, because all the auditors
Still doing their count.
is give it the stamp. They should still be working from figures, right? Every single.
We've still got count.
So we should still have the up to date correct.
Yeah.
We know what's there.
We accept it's not.
Yeah.
Except it's not audited.
We accept it.
On that basis, you'd have to wait every year before you could get any figures. I mean, that would be mad.
Or business.
And then 6 months late for the year to be audited. I mean, how can you run anything on that basis?
So,
We'll start.
I mean, I understand what you're saying, Aidan, so I don't understand at the same time.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know why there isn't a
Okay.
spreadsheet of what goes in and out of this Payne Farm account and why they, you know, I've asked that before too, but we have to have this.
Right.
So have we concluded that?
Nice long.
Yeah, you happy with the move, the commentary that Nikki's going to put in
I'm
there?
going to ask why we cannot have.
2 actions. I've got, can Martinborough Community Board have some communication around Payne Farm to go out to the public and help clarification around the website?
Yeah.
For funding.
Yeah.
And I've had, can Martinborough Community Board have information before the audit is complete?
Counts.
I think that summarises what we want. You happy with that? You don't look quite happy.
Well, before the audit is complete.
Like now.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why we can't have.
I think can MCB be given the unaudited accounts?
What count?
Unaudited.
Yes,
That's
The current.
That's the current.
the current.
It's the current.
Yeah, that's fun.
I mean,
It's like you stop for an auditor.
Look, as I say, I think we're going to get to a point where these things will disappear into the distance,
yeah.
Sorry.
and we have a chance of getting that sorted quite quickly.
Yeah.
So Mel, what you want to?
To you, Mr. Chair, I mean, that's the reality, is that businesses don't grind to a halt and don't pay their accounts and don't have any money and all those sorts of things because, well, they wait to be audited. So there is regular monies coming in and out, and that's how you operate a business, and you should always be able to see how much monies are there. So all we're asking for is current, honest, true data. Yeah, real to life now. Thank you.
How's the money?
I don't know if I could, but to many reports, you don't have to declare to public. This one you are declaring to public. So if you make an error, it could look bad. That's why you're waiting for the absolute I'm not making excuses, I'm just saying that's what could happen.
It could be, that's
I know,
possibly be why, you know, that,
Then they make it possibly be public excluded, at least give us some.
I'm not making an excuse, I'm just saying this could be.
yeah,
Right, so it's just something you've got to be aware of.
we've got to keep moving.
Okay, doke.
Aidan's got his hand up again.
You got your hand up again. You're back again.
I think his little orange hand is stuck.
Aidan,
His hand might just be stuck.
Aidan, you're on mute.
are you still there, Aidan?
I think you're on mute.
You're on mute, Aidan, or you've also turned, no, there you go.
Sorry, team, I'm having a real bad technologically.
Yeah, look, we understand, Aidan.
High five to you too.
Just on the agenda, guys, looking at page 83, which is one in the bottom of page 83, it says total grants grant funds available, $2,676.73. And then on page 86, right at the bottom there, under closing balance for Payne Estates, it says total funds available is 85K.
Yeah, what's the number?
Then there's some notes down the bottom to say about the insurance claim, et cetera, income from landfill. So, I mean, there are reports there that say that there are funds available.
Yes, but with the problem has been, Aidan, that there have been a number of different numbers for us to look at. And we actually want a clearer, closer picture of what the actual number is.
Quite old. I mean, there's quite
Right.
old figures, so we don't know whether
Yeah, there hasn't been any rent coming in, and it's been
there's
money.
been other expenses.
So I think, look, to be,
And it's because, so for example, the fact that the insurance claim hasn't been, like the fact that the report's missing some of the stuff, like the figures, the final figures still aren't correct, but that's from December, so it should have gone in. So we're just like, okay, we're really trying to make sure that everything we've got there is clear, and it's just not being, so. That's where we don't want to use anything because we don't know what we got until it's gone.
yeah, so we don't want to overcommit ourselves without knowing
Yeah.
what we're overcommitting to. So look, I think we've analysed that. Thank you very much. I think we'll move on.
Yep.
So now I'd like to ask somebody to nominate to receive the financial assistance report.
Yes.
Yes, Pip, seconder.
Yep.
Angela, you two are very busy today. Thank you very much.
Yep. Oh, we got the hand up there. Look. High five.
Okay, so have you seen there is a list
Yep.
of those approvals? And before I say anything else, is there any discussion about what's in the approval requests?
The approval request.
Well, everybody,
Is there any of these that are contentious? Is obviously.
yeah, well, do we have any comment to make on any of them?
I do, on number 6, to give $2,000 to the women's football team.
Football
Is that what
team.
you're saying?
Yes, no, that's what we're saying. So when we come to that one, we will make a.
Oh, so, okay, I thought we were going to.
We'll go through. I just wondered if you had any general comment to start off with on the approvals.
No.
Oh, just that these forms are really just seem to be.
They are disorganised.
They've been printed in a very weird way, but that's right. Nobody's perfect. But the
Sorry, Mel, you have a question, Mel?
but the forms themselves seem very
Mel.
confusing.
Hi, so one of the things that I had a question about was how come Wairapa Mathematics is coming back again around a memorandum of understanding with the South Wairapa District Council? I thought that they were meant to be receiving funds from the South Wairapa District Council,
That was,
who they held a memorandum of understanding with,
Oh, okay.
okay.
because they provide a service that actually covers all three towns.
And Kahutara and
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a good point, Mel, and I believe Nikki has some answers for us.
So through you, Chair, Mel, all the memorandums of understanding have been finished. So because we have had a reduction in the community and youth grant funding pool, we have needed to ask everyone to resubmit. So there's been quite a reduction in that grant pool this year. And
What's it to? What's the new amount?
the new amount is 120 for community and youth combined.
What was it before? Sorry.
It was 170 for community and then about 70 for youth, although I don't.
It's a bit hard.
No. It was 75 for youth and
And 170 for community, although Kate
I don't think it was one.
Hayden, have you got your hand up? Can you contribute?
I don't think it was 170.
I can't contribute about the values, however, that was a decision that was made around the council table during that long-term
Annual plan.
Annual plan.
planning process earlier on this year. So that's why the grant funding has reduced slightly. I think I read in today's paper that Marston Council are also, they've reduced their grant funding by $88,000 as well.
Can I just confirm then, with regards to the Wairarapa Mathematics Association, are they only applying to us or are they applying to all three?
All
Okay,
three.
'cause that's a concern as well, because there is something that they can't apply to all three.
Through you, Chair, we have updated the policy to allow organisations now to apply to the different community boards if their activity falls with
Covers all three. Okay, cool. Well, look, I actually don't have a problem with this because I think they hold a very, very successfully run that has been funded before, but hey, at the same time, I think this sits with the South Wairarapa District Council, so.
Okay, so look, to move on, shall we go through the individual requests and either confirm or deny, whatever, okay?
Yeah.
So the first one coming up is for the Martinborough Play Centre.
Yeah.
They have a request for $600. Do we have any?
No, I support that.
So it's the first sheet, it's the first
Yeah.
sheet.
Yeah.
They don't get paid anything and they
No.
everything that they do
It's good. I'm quite happy.
and volunteered and they, they apply for grants and they do everything that they can.
And they've never asked us.
And
So that effectively they're looking for support for matting and things,
Yeah,
stuff like that, which I think is a fairly good request.
yeah.
but the only thing I think that this sits with the South Wairarapa District Council. Can you tell me, are they going to miss it? When's the council one due?
It's closed.
It closed on the 31st of August.
But so these guys went there instead, or can we hoard it?
No, they haven't applied for the community and youth.
That's a shame. That's a shame because I think I've got no problem giving that, but I would strongly suggest a letter going from the Martinborough Community Board, letting them know that that this should be being applied for to the South Wairarapa District Council. But for.
Not sure, are we talking about the Play Centre here?
No, I thought we just passed the place into one.
No, we haven't.
No, we're still talking about Play Centre.
I'm totally moving on. I'm literally like, let's get with them. And no, that's not good.
So we're all in agreement. So can I have a mover for the $600 to Play Centre?
I'll do that.
And a seconder?
No, I'll second.
Okay, good. So so we've moved on.
Now it's
Excellent. Yeah.
Now we're at the maths.
Yeah. Well, look, I've got no problem if they've missed it and they've ended up coming to the community board, then that would be my suggestion. And I don't know.
that'd be great.
We then,
Yeah.
we approved this grant, but advised them that they need to be applying to the South Wairarapa District Council because they run this for all schools throughout the South Wairarapa and the Wairarapa at large.
That's
And
right.
it should be going through the grants there.
And I agree to the point that because they are a Wairarapa based, they should be going to council, not us.
Yeah.
So maybe we could, do we approve this?
I hate that they're getting enough, that's all.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm going to get.
Yeah.
So do we want to approve this one?
I would think, yeah.
Yeah, with,
So can I have a mover
I'll move that with the leader.
in the seconder?
Yeah.
Okay, so. what we're gonna do-
Sorry, guys. That, I'm just making you aware, that looks like, you know, that's $300 to their annual cost. So that, are they allowed to come back every year? If
Well,
they
that's
can't
every year.
get the money through
Is it a multi-one?
I don't know that it's a multi one.
No,
is
it's
it?
a one-off funding. There's-
One-off funding for this.
On the page, they've ticked one-off funding, so
Yep.
they're asking it for
Yeah.
this year.
Just
And
for
what-
this year.
Yeah,
for
it
this
says
year.
one-off, they've ticked it.
And so what we're going to do is have a letter that Nikki's going to produce to say to them,
Recommendation.
in future, you should direct this to the council, not to the community board.
To the community
I think-
boards.
Yeah.
I think they need to just.
Consolidate
They should have
themselves.
one place and be able to apply, because they do a fantastic job, like I say, and.
And it's nice for the non-sporty people to get some money.
Yes.
Yeah. We need,
So just to make sure you're aware, both those are from the grants. You understand?
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, yeah, they're from grant funding.
Not from community development budget, it's from grant funding of 4,700. Yeah, okay.
So moving on to the next one, which.
300.
Yeah,
Oh, sorry, Aidan, just got his hand up.
What, sorry, Baden,
thank you.
hands up all the time, man.
Yeah, well, you're not looking and watching
I
and
know.
seeing what's happening. Through you, Chair, Nikki, is now that the policy has changed, is there going to be a renewal of the memorandum of understanding for organisations that regularly come back to council, community
so-
boards and ask for funding?
Yeah, so through you, Chair, the advice we've given, when we kind of notified them at the end of the MOU was that with the reduction of funding, MOUs are less likely, but it will be at the discretion of the committee members.
For the councils.
Yeah, at the finance committee. So it's going to the finance committee next week. And the committee members, there are a few that have applied for MOUs.
Mhm.
But there is a significant amount of money that has been applied for in a very small pool. So
Right.
Has Mathletics applied for an MOU going forward?
There's the wrapper.
through you, Chair, no, Matthew has not applied for the NU for an MOU. No.
Thank you, Nikki. Thank you, Chair.
That's all right, thank you. So now we're moving on to the Martinborough Business Association funding request for Christmas decorations, $500.
Yeah, I made that.
I think we're all quite happy with that, yes?
I just would like to see what the metal tree looks like before we approve it. Because they want a metal tree.
A metal tree.
Yeah, that's what it's for specifically. They want to buy a metal tree. And I'm just, they want a
Christmas decorations. Hang on.
pay for the lights that will go on a metal tree. And I just wanted to, I would like to know what the metal tree is. That was, and this is a multi-year funding. Not a one-off.
It's a one-off funding and multi-year funding. She's clicked both.
Yeah.
Through you, Chair, I can
Get more clarity.
in a resolution to move to fund on condition that you're happy with the design.
Yeah. Because what it says is the next phase of a long-term project, which they're doing, is a multi-year option, which is what is also being taken to bring large decorations into the square, aiming to do one quad at a time over a number of years. So I'm still not sure if we're asking for it as a multi-year purpose, and this year's is going to be the lights for the metal tree. That's all. You know,
Hasn't this been an ongoing?
yeah, but I think it's just finished. I think that's,
Yeah, so
yeah.
finished. So isn't this the start of the ongoing?
So are we asking for another, yeah, are we asking for another round of every year or another?
Well, I think that's what the intent was, that this was the start of a new one.
Christmas.
Yeah.
Do we have any issues with it every year at $500?
But can we just start with this year? Let's just.
Well, we can always make a note to them.
Yeah.
Multi-year.
Just because I think, because they've only said what they want the funds for this year.
Yeah.
And they haven't really specified, next year it will be going towards this, like, so that we know it's the lights.
Yeah. It's very
It's going to go on to,
last year with the big bauble.
yeah, and it was,
Yeah.
so it's kind of like when
It's easy.
it's a lot easier because it needs to align.
Okay, so
We
what,
also need to know that it fits in with
Yeah.
Martinborough and
Absolutely.
so what Nikki
yeah,
wants,
so when those funds are required, they come
Yeah.
through and let us know what it's.
Yeah.
for.
'Cause otherwise-
so what Nikki will do is write a letter to explain that. You happy?
Yeah.
And also ask, could we see something
An image of it.
in imagery about what the decorations are?
Or just what the metal tree,
Metal tree, isn't it?
the metal tree looks like. But I mean, I don't know if we need that. I mean, although it would be interesting
If it was a 6-inch metal tree, wouldn't we decline it?
$500 worth of lights, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So I think we'd just like to get a little bit of clarification of the design.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't know what status the design is. I'm sure they've worked something out. Maybe they could pass something on to us.
Yeah.
So
Approved.
So we're going to approve, so Nikki's going to write a letter with a couple of questions around it, but we approve it.
This year.
The state that it's
$500.
first year only, $500.
Through you, Chair, so, yeah. On condition of seeing the image. And invite I can invite the Martinborough Community Business Association to come back and discuss their business plan around MOU for future funding.
I think it's better that just each year they let us know what they're looking at.
Other than doing it on.
Not only that, but the amount would change. And I'd rather give them the option. If we do it each year, then we actually have the opportunity because they might need 700. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'd just rather.
Yeah.
I understand that.
Mm.
I think Nikki's clear with what she's going to convey to Charlotte Business Association. And
Thanks. Sorry, I was just going to say too, Storm, because what has happened before is that we have seen where things might be better to go through the paying farmer stage or put that over to beautification, whatever, you know.
Yeah, sometimes or beautification.
Understood. So we understood.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we'll have a discussion, I think, with the Business Association about that in the future.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay, so do we have a mover and a seconder for that, please?
Tree.
You were moving?
Yeah.
Somebody seconding?
Oh,
Yeah,
Good on you, Mel.
I'll second that.
Are you up?
On-
Seconding it?
Yep, on seeing, on citing
Okay.
and approval the tree.
All right, so
okay.
Now
the
we've got.
second to last one is from Charlotte
I approved it.
for the fireworks.
Yes.
And a toilet.
In the toilet.
And the
Toilet's
toilet.
good, Dunny.
Yeah, a green dunny.
Brain Dunny.
Yeah.
Okay,
Does that mean it's a composting toilet or it's the
Yeah,
colour
it's
green?
the
Yeah.
green from Carterton. Is it Carterton? Is that way, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
For $250, isn't it? Higher.
so do we have a general agreement for that one?
I don't like fireworks, but I wouldn't ever stop other people doing them. I've got a dog.
Yeah.
And it's much better when it's all in one.
I'd rather have it in one place.
There's a whole lot of different.
Controls.
But,
Yeah,
Absolutely.
totally.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, to- Yeah.
But only.
Okay, so look, I think we agree to that, do we generally?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, and
good.
if I could just make one other comment, that Charlotte has been putting these on for the last 4 or 5 years now, and they're a really successful event. So I just want to say, you know, that it's it's just great job for really not that much.
Exactly.
She's phenomenal.
I've actually had people asking me if the fireworks are on as well already. People are starting to say, is it going to happen? So it's a great community event and it's all the families and it's free.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think we're in agreement with that one as well. So
Yeah.
can we have a mover and a seconder?
Yep.
Karen? Pip? Thank you. So the next,
Anyone left?
And we can see you.
we can see Aidan. Okay,
All gone back.
Now, Nikki, what's the are we on to the football team?
Yeah.
we're just about to get there, I think, because I think we've passed all the other ones.
Yep.
Yes, so yes, it is the football team. And before we start, there's some confusion on the side of the table that we're not quite sure what they're applying for.
So,
Nikki's going to write a letter asking for some explanation, which they should have provided before, which they haven't done.
I've got it, I sent it today.
Yep,
Okay, so-
we received that today.
I haven't seen
Yeah,
it.
we've got it.
No, I think lots of people probably haven't seen it.
So what we're looking for is, I think we generally agree that we want to fund, but in actual fact, what we're not clear about is that they haven't been clear to us about what they're going to use the funds for.
Mm.
And so there is a little bit of confusion here. Now, I spoke to,
Oh, it's a breakdown here, sorry.
there is a breakdown there, but are we doing both or? Because I think we might agree that the amount of money they're looking for is too much.
Yeah, I think
So we can say,
Through you, Chair, update of what
Sure.
the information I got. So through you, Chair, the information I received was that they have had some additional funding come in. We've had around $1,000 come in. They're also about to run a raffle, which will be some additional
It is running.
for them. Yeah, they said they still need to fund the training kits, which are the kit bags, the balls, the bibs, the cones, and the gloves. Their venue hire cost is related to using the turf at Kiranui College or possibly Martinborough if it's available next year. And it's around $40 an hour to hire, so $500 would get them through a season for training.
Yeah.
After that, there's no more funds needed. The purchasing of the kit seems to be the last thing that they're looking at.
Yeah.
Sorry, if I could just pop something out there for everybody. The $2,000 actually fits with the Payne Farm
I know.
perfectly. And
Because that's what it's for.
and because that is what that money is designed for.
Point taken, point taken.
And the thing is, though, is that what I would like to propose to is that we look at paying the $500 from this, from what she's put through and what she came back with that we received the email on today. $500 pays for their turf, time for practices and games at Kiranui College, so that's what she's based it on. I think if $500 will see them through the term, through the season. Sorry, primary school level.
Primary school.
Yeah, so the season, and then they can, as soon as we have Payne Farm updates, I think it's important that we actually see about putting this across.
Yeah.
It is too good a fit.
I think that's perfectly explained and perfectly acceptable.
Yeah.
So we'll give them a grant of 500 for the turf from our account here.
What's that?
Aidan?
Community development?
Sorry, Aidan.
Thanks, Chair. I've just got a question. And the comment was made just before about $500 for hireage of turf, possibly from Kiranui College. Now, going back 2 years, council donated $1 million to college for funding towards a brand new gymnasium, and there was going to be a memorandum of understanding between Kiranui College and South Wairarapa District Council, so that South Wai ratepayers and residents were able to use that facility. Now, for 2 years, Kiranui College has been sitting on that money, and council has been paying $100,000 a year from ratepayers' money and interest for that loan. I'm just wondering as to whether there could be some reaching out from council to Kiranui College to see if we could actually start to be using some of Kiranui's sport facilities for the use of our ratepayers before the gymnasium has even started construction. Because the college has been utilising council money, or perhaps earning interest on it, and the ratepayers haven't had any benefit of it to date.
Aidan, that's a very good point, and I think it's well made. So I think we'll agree with that. Can we get something in the council for action point? So we'll ask the council to go to Kiranui College to say, look, here's a quid pro quo you could take for us, and maybe that takes care of the turfing issue. But we still need, I think, to look at moving.
The of understandings already in existence.
Yeah. So maybe they just need to be reminded of it and drawn up.
Well, yes, yeah.
Because this group may not know that exists, and therefore we need somebody to ring a bell to say, "Oi, what about this?"
Outside the square.
Yeah. Okay, and then we'll leave the other outstanding training kit, because this is not something we need to do today. We will say we're looking to take this one under the Payne Farm.
And so bring it to the next meeting.
Bring it to the next meeting.
To do when we get the Payne Farm.
Yep. So is everybody happy with that?
Yep.
Okay, so Nikki's going to prompt council to send a note to Kiranui to maybe.
Best, Nikki.
So
many letters.
So we will advise the Martinborough Women's Football team to bring their application back once Payne Farm funding rounds have started.
So look for the next meeting.
Yeah. and an action point to look at the Kiranui College, seeing if we can get some of our local people there under the agreement, the MOU.
Yeah, so I think just make a point to the football club that we are looking at another avenue for that turf.
Yeah.
And that could come about.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, so it's still like sponsoring them to, supporting them to have what they need. Yeah.
Okay, so I think what we'll do, we won't move anything on this one at the moment because we've got some questions.
I did just have one other thing to say, but I'm actually not 100% sure about it. But I know that, Martinborough School's having turf put in.
And that's why they mentioned Martinborough.
Sit on Martinborough.
I can also talk about that through you,
Right.
Chair, if you like.
Okay, go ahead.
So through you, Chair, as my role on the Board of Trustees for Martinborough School, I can confirm that the Martinborough School has organised for the turf to go in. It has been a delayed project due to resources and weather. So it was meant to be in over a year ago, and it's just been finished now. It will be finished hopefully before the end of the year. It'll be finished early next term. That Martinborough School have got funding for that. So they did receive a grant, I believe through maybe Community and Youth, although I'm not entirely sure. So they got some council funding for that, and they raised the rest of the money themselves for that. So that turf will be up and ready to go by the end of the year.
So would that be available for free to users, or would there be a charge to users anyway?
At this stage, I'm not sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, cool.
Right, understanding that point, but I think we've
Close by.
clarified, so we're not going to move on that one. But we've got 2 action points that we'll run through. And is everybody happy with that?
Yep.
Okay. So that concludes the financial statement bits. Happy with it. Thank you very much for that one. So I think we'll go back now, if we go to the chair's report, if I can find it. Rather than do the members.
I've got action items. Do you want to do it at the bottom there? Do you want to finish number 9?
This is the one I can find. It's on page 5.
Picking everything. So there might not be anything on that. Done then.
You've got chair's report, so we're just talking to, we want to do the action items.
Okay.
Okay, let's do the action item, get rid of that one. Okay,
There might not be anything on it. Oh,
there is something, I think, on it, isn't it?
It's got a yellow pen on it.
It's got yellow.
It is an up for you, Chair. Sorry, the yellow highlight is an update from James.
Oh, okay.
All right.
So we're moving on to action item report, 9.7, is that correct?
Well, I've just noticed these, have we done these?
Yeah.
We have done that one, I haven't done this one.
No, that comes in the members' report.
But that, okay,
I have to go.
so where's the, what page is that?
Should be able to close 502.
Me too.
I've got things.
Oh, no, I think we'll just put the update on there because we'll hold it until it's done, like it's just until the, just so we're aware of the,
So it could be updated.
Yeah.
It's just happened. Presentation and they agree.
So we're just going through the action items?
Yeah.
Okay, so do we want to run through them line by line, or
Needs updating as well.
is there anything needs updating, as Ian's has just pointed out?
These signs seem to take a long time, don't they?
yeah.
But we've got money. Anyway, whatever. Sorry.
So,
We've got the funding.
but can you tell us anything about?
Yeah, no, I'm still just getting on some clarification, and I just need to make sure that they put it on
We'll leave them as,
what I see.
It's the next
They keep-
star. But that big.
leave them as open,
Star, the picture.
502.
And
Yeah,
you to come to the next Standing Committee meeting to talk about just all of them so they understand.
but they can see what we're trying to do. What I might do is get it popped in.
I'll do it with you.
Yeah, and then we'll get it out there and let everybody have a look at it as well. Because I don't think we need to do a lot to it.
No.
It must be simple and bold and beautiful.
Is this the sign you're talking about?
Yeah, simple, bold and beautiful.
Fine.
Martinborough, 30 kilometres at all
When's the next
times.
Standing Committee meeting?
October.
October.
Um,
Maybe around the 10th.
So I'm going to stand to what's going on.
Perhaps,
Okay.
if Angela wants to come to the next one, because last time I missed talking and I've been trying to kind of engage separately because I didn't get a chance to actually do it at the meeting itself. You remember afterwards, and I had to try and pull the information, and I think it would be really good, like just to
get as a person
say,
to do it.
show them and just say, you know, like even if we have copies of the thing that they can each take back to the marae.
Let me work on it and I'll have a look.
Yeah. Well, just the information.
Perfect. Okay, just like got and make it.
I sent them some attachments and
Nothing's happened.
it's I just
Okay, so
Yeah,
we're going to leave that still open.
Yeah, we'll progress on that. We'll try
and I will present at the next
Angela try
and the meeting.
progress it.
So 502 we've ticked off.
Yep.
We've still got open for
Yeah.
565. I think we'll leave that open. Huh?
Oh, that's done, isn't it?
What?
The tree.
Well, Aidan, do you have an update about the
I can talk to that.
you sent it out, didn't you?
Yep, I can talk to that.
Yeah,
Oh.
I got an email late last month from Russell. That was initiated earlier on this year when I spoke to James, who was one of the planning officers who has since left. When I raised that with him about the oak trees, he was happy to put them forward for the oak trees that were in the park behind Wharekaka. He was not happy to put forward for the oak trees which were on Wharekaka because council is of the view that to do that there needs to be discussion and acceptance by the owner of the land for a tree to be listed and protected. So the process that's gone at the moment is that the trees in the park on Maple Street have been included in the combined district plan review, and they have been recommended to go forward into that plan review as notifiable trees. So Russell has said that the proposed district plan will be notified publicly in October, and as soon as that is publicly notified, the trees will be included onto the notable tree register for the South Wairarapa district and will be protected with immediate legal effect from that time. Now,
So the rest of them.
the question is, there will be, I know there are other questions regarding the remaining oak trees on the Wharekaka land, and while James wasn't keen to include them without approval or permission of the landowner.
Who owns it?
Well, Wharekaka Trust has now devolved and passed ownership of all those facilities to Masonic Retirement.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
But don't they just manage it? Do they not? Do they own it or own it?
Masonic Retirement Villages owns the Wharekaka land now.
They own it.
When the Masonic, when that handover occurred, and the Wharekaka Trust met with the Masonic management, the CEO, treasurer, CFO, etc. I had a discussion with the CEO, or I think it was the CEO, about what Masonic's plans were for Wharekaka. And I raised the issue that the oak trees on the Wharekaka land were very highly, I suppose, thought of and dear to a lot of people within our community. And if in Wharekaka, in Masonic's plans, there was any discussion about removing those trees, there would be an uproar within the community. So the CEO has said to me that at that stage they were only just taken over. There was a lot of work to do moving forward to work out what Masonic was actually going to do with the Wharekaka site, and he took on board the that discussion about how important the oak trees were to the Martinborough community. And he said that nothing would be said to me that nothing would be happening to the oak trees without community engagement or community notice or awareness anyway. So that's where that's at, team.
So what we can take from that, Aidan, is that 565 will tick off as complete.
Yeah.
And the process for the Wharekaka ones is in train.
I think we just need to have a watching brief on and be aware of what the plans are when Masonic starts to work through that process.
But just as a point, sorry, Aidan, just as a point, they're not on this list.
They're not on
No.
there.
They're not on.
No, they're not.
So whatever happens there is either another topic
Mhm.
or some other discussion, but not
Can
for.
I just, through the chair, can I just say something about those other trees, or the trees generally, those oak trees, because there was a misconception, for want of a better word, that they had something to do with the First World War, and that potentially even particular trees were associated with particular fallen soldiers. But that is actually, according to Mate Higginson, that's actually
An apple myth.
made a good story, but it's not actually true.
Even myth.
So the trees were gifted and planted, they were planted and gifted in 1929. After the First World War, but nothing to do with the First World War.
Okay.
So anyway, that
When
was,
Michael brought them homeless box,
sorry?
one of them, probably Butch Martin's a good person to talk to about it anyway, because it's one of their ancestors who brought them home in their pocket from war.
From the seeds for the tree.
And the thing is, no, but Uncle Mate remembers the man that they hired to plant, and he used to go down there and
So
talk
you
to the
spoke
guy
to
who was
him.
planting the trees, and he'd been told to plant them regimentedly, but I don't know, particularly how that went. Definitely, people have associated trees to their family and to their own children at fallen
Oh,
soldiers.
okay. I just was repeating what Mate had said to me, because I'm researching some of the trees as part of that group,
Okay,
and that's what he said to me.
so can I call to
Yeah.
that?
Yes.
I don't know how we treat that. It's not on this list, but if we want to raise it in future, we can do, but it's not here today. Okay, so the next one is 030, which I think you're telling us, Stefan, that there's no action plan for that until a long-term plan comes in. Okay. The next one is 168. That's been actioned. We can call that over.
Oh, wait, Mel's got a hand up.
Sorry.
Sorry, guys. I've just so the thing is that with 030 and them not, so they're not going through with that, processing them, what was happening to the trees that are the seats that were going to be placed in the square? We were told that the hold up with the lighting, with the square seating and things was around waiting, that we must wait.
Yeah, but
So,
then
But
the
if it's
general
not
consensus.
happening,
nobody
why
wanted-
can't we just move forward?
And do
With-
what?
No, so
Well,
there's some
There
seats
isn't
and
any
lights.
hold up. There isn't any hold up on the lights because the council resolved to install the lights irrespective of the provisions of the development plan. So there isn't any hold up on,
With the lights.
Oh, hold up.
well, not in relation to the management.
So the lights are going to be placed or
How about lights or benches like?
my understanding was it was lit bench seats.
The
Yeah,
bench seats,
that too.
bench seats, they're not going in the square. We've already resolved that.
So the bench seats aren't going in this,
That was in a meeting.
but the lighting has been, is being done.
So someone is doing lighting from that's my question is.
Are you
what's
talking about
happening-
the lighting for the pedestrian crossings or some lighting in the square?
In the seats.
the lighting in the square? So the thing was is that the square already has a development plan,
Yes.
and that we looked at that, and my question, so like before we close it off and say we can't, I don't want to see us limited in what we can do in the square being held up because of this
There
having
isn't
occurred.
a hold up on the lighting in the square.
over the
Brilliant.
pedestrian
over
crossings.
the management plan.
Yeah, so it's-
Specifically excluded.
Where it's held, it's where-
So there's lighting to go up in the square?
So lighting is being done.
There's a whole lot of problems with the lighting project in the square, but the management plan is not one of them.
Okay.
Yeah. So the things fine. Good news, how's news?
And do we have any update around the streets and the pedestrian crossings around the square and lighting?
Yes, you can ask Stefan that.
She is.
Yeah, there's.
Sorry.
I-
Sorry,
I'm-
Stephen.
I'm- Yeah, no, that's all right, it's cool. I'm in a process of updating, well, having a conversation with council on that at the moment, because there are some problems with the project in terms of delays on procuring the lights and but more importantly, the budget is the costed work that has come back from the project manager is a lot higher than we hoped it would be. And so I'm meeting with Alice, with Aidan and Melissa tomorrow morning at 8:30 to just get our heads together and figure out what our next steps are. But there are some issues there that have slowed it down, and it's really frustrating.
It is really frustrating.
Thank you. Thank you for the update.
But in relation to this, the management plan isn't an impediment.
Okay, great.
So for the last two items, I don't know how to answer the 253. 254 has been done, but they've moved that from a face-to-face meeting to an online meeting. And that was resolved. I still wish to keep that open, that we do want to have a face-to-face for the Martinborough Community Board. But timing, I believe, is the issue, and time availability. I'll keep that as an open item to keep asking Amanda to do that. But the other one, I think we've probably moved past.
Yeah, proceeded.
Okay?
Yeah.
So we'll now tackle, look, I'm sorry that,
Getting quite late.
yes, can we get rid of, not really get rid of. Can we have the two members' reports quickly actioned? I don't think they're going to take too long before we go into the chair's report.
Yeah, cool. Do you want me to go first?
Go first, so you come first on the.
On the first page.
Okay, so this is on behalf of the Martinborough Social Seniors. It's a group that meet at Wharekaka, a coffee group set up with Matt Wilson. I had a meeting with Matt and with Lisa Matthews from the Wairarapa Aging Strategist. And Matt's been running the little coffee group. He's had a good turnout, between 7 and 10 people. And they are talking about having a United Nations International Elders Day celebration on the 2nd of October with tea and biscuits, and going to try and get the mayor, who's already agreed, to come along and possibly call the bingo numbers out, because they have a little game of bingo. So that's a little bit of background on what he's doing. So he would like to try and do a little outing for the folks for Christmas around the end of the year, and perhaps we've talked to the Bowls Club, and they were quite willing to do something quite reasonably priced at the Bowls Club that the community board members could host for them as well, to be part of it and invite a few other people along. And for that respect, they were looking possibly for around a couple of $100 maximum to do the event, to put a little luncheon and things on for them and have a game of bowls if they want. They can hold money because Matt, if you know Matt, it's part of his work with he's had a critical brain injury, and this is part of what he's doing as a gift back to the community. They don't want to hold cash at all. They don't want anything to do with money. So the idea would be that we could possibly pay the Bowls Club directly. So what I'm asking, I feel like Dragon's Den. So what I'm actually asking for is like up to amount of up to $200 for them to host a little light luncheon for their oldies for Christmas.
Very good.
Do we have a mover for that?
Oh, yeah.
Have any discussion around it?
Well, that's what the question is. Is that what you'd like to do?
Yeah, look, I think it's fabulous. I think it's a really lovely idea. It fits in with the aging strategy. I'm just, and Well, it's really important, I guess, you know, it's that social connection, social well-being, that's actually part of our four pillars. And I just, for council and for community boards, and I just, I think it's fantastic. I'm just, can it be done? Are we able to do that, to host an event for
We're not.
Not hosting an event, we're just
Well, we'd be there,
we would be hosting it.
for community board.
but yeah.
So the community board would be hosting it alongside the Wire for Aging.
Yeah, well, the bowls club have sort of said that, you know, they could do it, so it would be like paying the bowls club, so they'd get some money out of it too.
Totally.
From them, so it would just be that the money would go directly to the bowls club, so no one actually handles it in between. Does that make sense?
Well, I mean, I think this is
Just to,
well, and especially with the fact that we don't often hear from anyone within the space asking for funds, for grants, for sporting equipment, for for any of those types of things. And if we're talking about being able to put on, some sandwiches and coffee and
Easy.
so can I say, do we have any dissenters amongst this? Is everybody in agreement with providing that? Any dissent?
No, the only thing I would say would just be around actually coordination, and that is it's I'm trying to think how best to put this, but Christmas time is one of the few times in the year that people actually do put on a number of events for the so it would just, like I said, it probably is more around coordination with whoever is doing that.
Yeah.
At Wharekaka, but it would be quite nice to open that up. Loneliness is just, it's an epidemic here in Martinborough at the moment, amongst our many new widows and widowers. And I went to the Presbyterian First Church community lunch not that long ago, and so I mean the benefit for this is massive. So that's what I really can't stress enough, is that it is massive. But there are those that don't live at Wharekaka, that maybe you could connect or capture through their church organisation.
Yeah, I thought because the church do the first Wednesday of the month or something, they also do something for elders, and apparently they were doing helping them train for their driver's licenses and things the other day as well. And I was going to go and see how many people were involved with that, what we could maybe connect them even together and just do a shed.
Yeah.
Make it a little bit bigger if we can. If $200 will go far enough.
I was going to say, you start with the money you've got.
Oh, so fishes and loaves of bread.
But what I don't want to, it's just that little thing that sometimes what we see is the same people reap the benefits every time. Because it's an easy win. And so there's, as I say, I'm literally through my own circumstances and things at the moment, I'm seeing so many of these people at the doctors and other places, but but we're they're missing out. They're sitting at home crying and don't know where to go or who to reach out to, or just waiting for their lunch to show up from Meals on Wheels. But Meals on Wheels is an excellent place to capture exactly the type of people you're wanting to really see. So I mean, I guess probably just talking that through now is probably
Okay. So what I'm going to do is just tie this up now. So I'd like somebody to move to receive Angela's members report.
Yeah, man.
Seconded.
Excellent.
I think we keep to within the space of what's written in the report as opposed to widening it out, because
But maybe
it's
look at
just a
that
function.
in the future.
But we can certainly look further in future to any other things that may be.
Connections.
Great.
Okay. Happy with that?
Yeah, it's just that low-hanging fruit thing, eh?
Yeah, that's this. Yeah.
So we just need to have now agree to fund $200 for the light Christmas luncheon. No more.
Yeah. Up to.
So do we have a mover for the number? Karen, how about you doing that? Because Angela can't do it.
For the number,
Have you done it?
No, sorry, I was
just voted on that. No?
No, we're second.
We're just moving the number to the amount to be spent, $200.
okay. So this is the definite decisions and things are happening now. So it's, well, I support it. 100%. I'm happy.
So do we have a mover? You going to move it?
I'll move it.
Yes. So Mel's move it and Karen's second it. So that's good. So then we have a second member report from Karen on the tree group. And I have to say, we need to move to receive that. But tied to that is also another handout for refreshments for planting. So just understand that we'll receive the report. Karen can do a quick talk on it if she wishes. And then at the end, we're just discussing whether we want to put $50 in for refreshments to the planting. I see also, just by the way, that the golf club have sent a note out to the planting.
Oh, good. Yeah, and we were in the WTA as well.
Yeah. So
I'm
I
really sorry, guys, I'm going to have to go. I apologize.
think we're going to get to that stage. We've probably gone past what we want to do.
Yeah.
So can I just, did you need to talk to your?
Oh, it's pretty self-explanatory. So we've got our first planting session,
15th of September.
in a week's time on the golf course there, continuing this planting that the Wairarapa Biodiversity Group started a couple of years ago. So we're going to have 2 planting sessions, the first one on the 15th. And we just thought it'd be 3 hours or so between 9 a.m. and 12. And we'd just like to offer some refreshments during that time.
So if we make an offer to fund the refreshments, how are we going to do that?
Or we do have a bank account that we can.
So we give the money to you and you can
Yeah, I can.
get it organised. Okay. So does anybody have any
We'll organise it. I think
to that
some tea.
article?
So you'll go on the thrifty and super wine?
Super wines? No, we're just going to have ordinary wines, round wines.
Do we have any dissension to that, or I take it that everybody has agreed and to the agreed to fund?
And we hope we get everyone there with your spades and your gumbo.
Okay. So do we have?
I saw that and I had a look and I went, oh, no, I'm working.
Yeah.
Okay, so can we have, first of all, somebody
Friday morning.
thought we did, so
Move the report.
move the report, seconded,
Second report.
Bell seconded, and now to do the funding, do we agree to the $50 mover? Angela, seconded, Mel again, okay, very loose with our money, you girls. never
Well,
mind.
what we'll do is buy like tea and coffee supplies, and then we can use them as another
For a
event,
second
grab
one.
another event,
Okay.
so that we've got.
So look,
something there.
looking at the
Paying for everything.
looking at the time of the evening, we have some significant issues in the chair report on Payne Farm. Can I just do a quick summary that maybe leaves this the future? Specifically for Payne Farm, we have 2 documents come in from Katie. One is the Payne Farm policy, and the second is the Payne Farm distribution. I ask that you read those 2 documents. And when we receive the draft final edition of the memorandum of agreement, we then take that on board and make sure that we can merge the 2 to happiness. So that takes care of item 1. There also a lease document. Can I just ask that you submit to me on email questions you have on the lease document, and I will forward those to the executive.
Oh, Marianne.
Okay, thank you. So we'll put those to there. Is everybody happy with that?
Go on.
So just post me on email questions you have on the lease.
The lease.
Okay. Thirdly, the update on the CCTV. Quickly, we've moved from having a committee meeting to me gathering reports from the various committee groups. Aidan, I need to talk to you about this to put into that CCT report. The speed review, the question we have there is, and maybe Stephen, you can answer this quickly or not. When do we get some feedback on the submissions to the speed review?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. So as you know, consultation's finished. We've done the hearings and deliberations. Thank you for the contribution. The panel's made a whole series of recommendations, which you're probably aware of around certain high priority roads and gravel roads. There was a discussion around a Martinborough speed zone. Further consultation requested with Marae through the Māori Standing Committee. So there's a whole lot of recommendations. There's also a lot of public feedback that we received in the oral submissions. All of that is to be taken into account. And we draft a speed management plan, and that's submitted to council for decision. But that will probably be on the 27th of September. Just depends if we get the additional consultation done in time. And then
What date was it? 27th?
27th September. I think the meeting's on the 27th.
Okay, sorry.
So council will decide on the SMP on the 27th, and then that's done, and it's submitted to the Director of Land Transport at what?
All right. The last one I want, so thank you, Stephen, for that. Last one I raised is an interesting question came up through the month about Memorial Square adverts. We need to perhaps have a wider discussion, maybe not tonight, about are we happy to see adverts for items for sale or anything like that, or fares attached to the gates of the Martinborough Square?
Absolutely not.
Well, look, I think we all agree with that, but we don't.
Soldiers Memorial Gate.
We don't want to have too many heavy hands.
Someone did.
We want to say to people, yes, you can advertise, but please make them freestanding away from the square. But this is for a discussion for another day. We're just raising the issue. Have some thoughts to it, and then we'll come back, because what we have to do is go out to the public with a statement that says, we don't want to hold you up, but please don't put anything to those particular items. If you want freestanding advertising, make it freestanding advertising. So that's a thought to go away with anyway. Okay, so look, I think that's, although we do have topic 6, the remote.
Oh, it'll take me 2 seconds.
Okay, so just before we end your steps in, we had a very good remo session workshop last night that was very well attended. Angela has to take some kudos for driving people into it. But it looks like, and look, we had a couple of people from Hawke's Bay that were at the session and understood the problems they had with Cyclone Gabrielle, and they had some very good, but they were also mightily impressed with the amount of local impact we had at that meeting. So that was a very good thing. So sorry, Angela.
Yep, no, that's cool. So so thanks for that, Storm. So so our first meeting, we had 22 people attended, even though it was raining, which was great. Last night we had 33 people came along, did our leadership skills in disaster. First thing actually to report is that the hub has now officially moved to this building. So the sign has come off across the road, and it's now officially just in the doorway here attached. So we've actually moved it across, which is what we asked for last time. Storm and Karen have both been along, which is fantastic support as well. Connor Kershaw came along last night, and it was really quite interesting because he got back to me today and said he was very happy with the planning framework in place. He said it was very pragmatic, and I know in the event of a decent sized event, a group of dedicated locals would spring into action. He said, what I took away from this was I would have a contact at the hub to relay information to throughout the event response to best help our community. He says, I don't feel I need to attend any further, but I take good heart from the commitment of all the attendees, and the team can trust, as in he can trust that they will be there when they're needed in the future. And that was from Connor, which I thought was really lovely feedback. And Nigel and Vivian both expressed last night how amazed they were of what a great turnout. And so all we need to remember is final event is a practice day on the 30th of September from 11 till 1. I know it's a Saturday, but if anybody is around, please do pop in, even if it's a short time. Family's very, very welcome. Bring your kids, bring your whoever you want to bring along. And there will be sausages, and we will need chefs on the barbecue. Yeah.
So, Stephen, can I ask a question? It's not really directed in your area of concern, but there is some commentary going on about the location of the DFIB it's coming out from over the road and putting on here.
No, it's a new one.
It's a new one, sorry. So it's a new one going on where we can locate it. And the ideal place would be outside on that wooden frame, but apparently there's some dissent from the architect about putting it there. Could we just have somebody in the council executive have a look and give us some guidance as to where we can put the defib, because it needs to go somewhere? So can I leave that with you to have a question? Because it's something that's
Somewhere really accessible.
it's got to be somewhere, and that was the most accessible part, but it's obviously causing some concern to the architect, but we need to move through that. Okay, so I just need to receive my report.
Yep.
Thank you. Yep. And we'll just leave, just understand those things for Payne Farm. We are moving on. We've got to keep moving on. So from that, I'd like to close the meeting now.
Yep.
Is that all right?
Yep, no, too. No.
Aye.
I'll just go.
Thank you very much, Dawn. Thank you, everybody.